Hello.
Hello and welcome.
It's just Panda Joneses. So
What's today's topic?
today's topic. So we have been posting a lot about intimacy. So of course intimacy is more than just physical. And it's one of those very, very important things needed to for your relationship to thrive. And we've been posting a lot about intimacy because we've been posting about our do I tell relationship card game.
Yes.
And we are in that we understand that um sometimes it's not that easy to feel that intimacy or have that connection or that bonding in some relationships, and we get that. So we kind of want to talk about that a little bit today, since that's very important to have, and intimacy is a part of the way that you connect and bond with your spouse.
Yes. See, a lot of people, when you hear the word intimacy, you automatically think foreplay and sex, but it's more than that. And that's part of where our do as tell card game comes in at, because you explore different areas of intimacy. Um, some younger couples may not know how to do that, so that's where stuff like the card game comes in at. You can just explore different areas, do different things. You get in touch with one another mentally, and also sometimes
Spiritually.
some spiritually, yeah, and physically as well. But if you can't do it mentally, then it's like, what are you doing emotionally? Yeah, then you're missing out a whole lot of what intimacy really is.
Mm-hmm. And emotional intimacy is huge because that's where you feel safe to have that connection and stuff. And a lot of times I see people or couples that sometimes physical intimacy is an issue for them, or sex and stuff like that. But one of the reasons why that's sometimes an issue is because that emotional and that mental intimacy is missing. So one partner is feeling like they need to be more connected on a more emotional, mental level, to be able to enjoy that physical. And sometimes the other partner may not understand that, or they may just feel like, well, this is what's important to me. And the whatever is important to each other should be, whatever's important to one should be important to each other,
right,
to the other as well. So if one partner is more so needing that emotional and that intimate, or that emotional and that mental connection or intimacy, then that's, something that the other partner needs to take into account and be able to, find out, what it is. How can I, help with that? What can I do? And of course, sometimes it's a personal thing, because sometimes people come into relationships with certain traumas, or certain traumas happen during the relationship, and then it's not so easy to allow certain levels of intimacy into, it's not as easy to connect on an intimate level with their partner, whether it be physical, whether it be emotional, whether it be mental, or whatever. So one of the things that is really, really important for emotional intimacy is to be able to feel safe.
That's right, because if you don't feel safe then with your partner, then how you going to be safe enough to trust them emotionally, or just overall mentally? Because you need that mental space, that safe space, to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, they've been through some type of trauma or whatever, or maybe just don't even know how to do it.
Yeah. And maybe the communication, keeping communication open is important, because if you feel like you don't feel safe with your partner, being able to communicate that is important. But sometimes it's hard to communicate those things if you don't feel safe to do that.
That's right.
So, like, if I don't feel safe enough to communicate with him, then and I shut down or I withdraw, then it's gonna cause problems. So sometimes that person has, your partner might want to open up to you, but how do you create a safe space for that your partner to be able to do that? So if there's an issue with, when they come and try to talk to you, and sometimes things are, or the majority of the time, things are taken, you know, out of context, or you react a certain way, or there's it always turns into an argument every time they try to express how they feel or whatever their needs are, or things like that, then they're not going to feel safe. Or if they open up to you and you take those things, especially very personal things, or things that's already hard for them to open up about, and you take those things and throw it back into their face. If an argument comes up, then they won't feel safe opening up. And when I say safe, I'm not talking about where there's physical um abuse or anything like that. So right now we're not talking about physical abuse, we're talking about um safety, as in you are my safe place.
Almost like a mental safety net, right?
Yes.
Like if you come to me with problems and I'm there, I'm your safety net, so that you're able to feel safe doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Then over and over again, you'll feel safer doing that. Coming to me with your problems or with how you feel on a certain any given time, any given day or whatever. But if I didn't have that safety net, then you probably wouldn't be so inclined to want to do that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's about, I could be trying to come to you about how I feel about you.
Yeah, that too.
So for some people, it's hard to hear when someone is saying that I have an issue with you.
Yeah.
And it's hard to hear. So it's easy to get on the defense.
Yeah.
About that. But if you're always getting on the defense, or if a lot of times you get on the defense, I really don't like to use the word always, never, and stuff like that. But if a lot of times you're getting on the defense when your partner is coming to you about something that is bothering them or how they feel about something, then they won't feel safe. So, and everybody who's opening up, and sometimes you have to think about how hard was it for my wife or my husband to actually tell me this. So thanking them for their honesty instead of taking it on a defense is, showing that I'm a safe place.
Yeah.
So
something to take pride in.
Yeah.
Because someone, if you're in a relationship and you don't have that safe place at home, then what do you think somebody's going to do? Probably go somewhere else for that safe place somewhere.
Or just be miserable within the relationship. Or be miserable.
Yeah, but let's be real. A lot of people are going to go somewhere else for a safety place, somebody to talk to.
Somebody to talk to. And sometimes that's how emotional affairs happen as well.
Yeah, because the guy be like, hey, you know what's going on? I'll listen. He may not even care if you think he can get something out of it.
Yeah. And then if you want that physical connection, a lot of times that emotional connection need to come, especially a lot of times with women,
Yeah.
And I've seen with men as well, really, some men have a hard time with, contrary to what people might believe, some guys have a hard time with physical connected physically to their partner when there's no emotional intimacy, no mental intimacy or anything like that there. So it's about knowing what is needed in your relationship. What do you need? What does your partner need? And what do you need collectively in your relationship to make, to increase that intimacy, to be able to bond, for me to be able to tell him my deepest thoughts. That means I have to be able to trust him with that first. Right. And sometimes even in relationships, there's some stuff that happens, like anxiety and different things like that. And we were watching something, and this is a good example of how to create a safe place. So we were watching, I think, a very, very old episode of Married at First Sight.
Married at First Sight on Netflix,
And it was a couple on there. And so, like, what did you notice about that couple?
I forgot the name, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
The brother with the anxiety issues.
Yeah, he had some anxiety.
And we don't know why. You know, they didn't go into the past details and all that stuff and the trouble he may have went through. But he did say on the show that he had anxiety issues, and obviously you will want to gain some level of respect for that.
Mm-hmm.
But his partner, the woman, forgot her name, but she never really acknowledged that or gave him that safe space when he even told her, "Hey, I need 5 minutes,
or I need
a few
10
minutes, I need 10 minutes,
something.
I need time alone because I'm in a mental state right now to where I just need to be by myself in order to come back down
mm-hmm.
to a safe level, or you know, whatever was going on in his mind. He needed that time alone to come back down, to unwind."
And then as a man, like that was a man sharing, opening up, saying that, hey, these are some of the things that I'm struggling with.
Yes.
This anxiety. So as a man, you know, sometimes it's already hard for some men to open up because they've been taught not to do that.
Because we were taught that was a sign of weakness. You know, you're not supposed to cry. You know, if you're only girls cry, you know, only girls open up about this and that, and you know, oh, man up, you know, get over that. You know, that's life. Life happens. You know, chuck that. You know, just man up and deal with it. Press on, whatever. You know, that's what we were taught growing up back in the day. But all those things are wrong because a guy should be able to, you know, if he need to cry, cry. You know, if he needs to open up to somebody, say, "Hey, baby, can I get 5 minutes? I need to talk about this. You know, this is bothering me."
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's basically what kind of what he was getting at on the show. And his woman, his new bride, really wouldn't allow that.
Yeah, she didn't give that space.
Never acknowledged it. She didn't give him the space, and it's a shame because even the producers wouldn't give him the space. And some of the producers on the show were actually mental health therapists.
Yeah.
One was a pro mental health therapist, pastor, and the other one was a sociologist. And neither of them acknowledged that. Yeah, you should have been able to get that space, and we're going to see to it that you do. You know, so
yeah, and so with that, you know, he expressed that I have panic attacks.
Yeah.
I'm hot. I have anxiety. He told her that the cameras, you know, sometimes even increase his anxiety. So when he need that space, he asked for it. So somewhere along the line of him coping with the anxiety, it seemed like to me that he had learned to say, this is happening in my body. I need some time. I need some space. And when he didn't get that, he exploded.
And it's a shame because again, even the producers and the producer and the cameraman didn't even give him that space. It's like he was already down saying, "Hey, look, I need 10 minutes." And they're like, "No, we're gonna keep this camera in your face. No, you signed a contract. No, you need to deal with it. Deal with it. But now keep on with the show."
And I was really, I was pissed off about it, to be honest. Like, I really wanted to write the show. I wanted, because I'm like, here is this man expressing to y'all that he's struggling with this situation. So, and then you guys don't give him the space to work through his feelings and his emotions and stuff like that. And my heart really did go out to him. And they made it seem like he was just angry and just blowing up. But anger is a secondary emotion. What he felt first was that anxiety.
Right.
So, and a lot of times you have to kind of think about that when it comes to your partner. Like when you see them kind of go, because like I would even share a transparency moment. Like we were riding down the street one day and something he did when he was driving kind of triggered some anxiety for me. And so, at first my initial reaction was like, yeah. Like I'm fussing at him about this because I felt the anxiety come first, the panic, and then boom, like then I'm kind of like, reacting out of that. So to him, it could have seemed like I was angry or mad or whatever, but he stayed calm. He could have very easily, got back with me on the same level or the same energy I was giving out, right?
Right.
Because he could have got on the defense and just started back at me. But instead, I think he realized that, this was a moment. This was one of them times where this is anxiety, or, something is happening where, whatever I did or whatever the case may be, it must have triggered something, because he was more so empathetic to what I was experiencing at that moment. And he did reach out for my hand. He even asked that he need me to pull over, or I need him to pull over. So to me, that is the type of things that create safety in a relationship. Like the way I responded, he could have very easily, like I would have been kind of understood if he would have kind of got back with me the same way I was, because I was just like going off, But at the same time, it's like, okay, sometimes we have to stop and think about what is our partner experiencing at that time. And so to me, that made me feel better. It made me calm down better, and stuff like that. But it shows me also that, if I'm having a moment where I might be experiencing some type of anxiety about something, that he will be supportive of me in that moment. And that is creating a safe space for me.
Safety net.
Yeah.
That's right. And you've done the same for me also. For those who don't know, I don't mind sharing. I'm a combat veteran, 20-year retired Air Force. I have PTSD, and there's been times where I even had anxiety as well. So, and thank goodness I was able to, let her know what was going on with me at certain times, and we could just remove ourselves from the situation. And, she was there to comfort me and everything, just like a good woman should, a good partner should. So,
yeah,
she is definitely a big safety net for me.
Yeah, and I'm glad. Yes, I'm glad I could be there for you.
Oh yeah, me too. I won't want to be someone else. Somebody else might.
But yeah, so it was just, and when we was watching the show, we was like, "Whoa, she tripping." I think the girl name was Taylor.
Taylor,
yes. You was tripping. But yeah, and at one point she even backed him up into a small room. I think it was a bathroom when he was trying to get away, trying to escape.
Yeah.
And she backed him up and kind of forced him into, and I was like, oh my gosh, like she don't even know. It's Married at First Sight, so you don't even know him really well. If he has PTSD for some reason, like, and depending on, like what he might have been through or whatever trauma too, you back this man up into a closet, and he is highly anxious right now. He's actually in a panic mode right now. And so it could have been a lack of her knowledge about how to deal with someone, in that situation. But it was, to me, what kind of made me mad the most was that they were all making it seem like he was this evil person, when in reality, what I saw was a man that was experiencing anxiety, who let y'all know when he needed breaks, and you guys did not honor that. So that was, and so in that, her being his wife, she was not a very good support for him when he experienced those things.
No,
so
because that stuff like that happened several times.
Yeah.
And like the dude, it was crazy because the dude just asked for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. The producers could have been like, "Hey, we understand. Let's look good in front of America. We know this is a reality show. We want to boost our ratings up even more to show that we care.
We care about mental health."
And they just didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
To me,
if you want your partner to be able to share their personal feelings with you, check in yourself when they do. So like I said, no judgments, anything like that. And just being empathetic, being a good listener, like really listening to what they're saying, and listening to how they feel. And I think it's really big to listen to how people feel, because sometimes you can only be listening to what they're saying and you're not thinking about the emotions or how they're feeling behind it. And so asking sometimes, even, what do you need me to do? Like, what do you need from me in this moment? Sometimes people just want you to listen. Sometimes your partner might want something physical, like a hug, a hand, to be holding, just something to show, so I can feel you. And that can be common. Sometimes it's, I need you to listen and then give me some feedback. I need you to be compassionate. I need to see that compassion. Um, and all of that. So, like, how am I meeting your emotional needs? And that's a good question for you to ask your partner, and for you to tell your partner as well, how are they meeting your emotional needs? And if I'm coming up short somewhere, instead of me getting on the defense, I would want to know. So I want to know if I'm coming up short somewhere on meeting the emotional needs that you have, or being there for you, supporting your emotional needs, I should say, then I need to know, so that I could try to look at me and I can do better at that. So what is it that you need from me? How can I help? Especially if your spouse or partner is experiencing some, emotions, some strong emotions in a particular situation, like with me in the car. So yeah, that's. And how do you show up in your relationship emotionally, mentally, and all of those good things. This is another scenario. So it was that I saw. It was a woman. She was going through some emotion, some group. It was some emotional things that she was going through, because there was a family member of hers that was very close to her that had gotten sick. So then, in that moment, she turned toward her spouse for comfort. And when she turned toward her spouse for comfort, he was like, "Oh, get off of me!" Like he was hot or something. Get off of me. He didn't want to. That does not show your partner that I'm here for you, I support you. Any of that. That shows. So, like, you cannot depend on me when you're going through. I'm just not here for you. That's what it says. Mm-hmm. So that's not a very good feeling. You already feeling bad for something else, and then this happens. And no that's support. No support.
No safety net. Your safety net is got full of big holes in it, and it wants falling right through.
Yeah, so you don't want to send those type of messages, and then you want to if your partner is saying, I need these things from you. And it can even be on a spiritual level too. Like, all of these things it's a such thing as spiritual intimacy. So even being able to discuss these things with your partner and saying, this is what spirituality to me is. But religion to me and spirituality can be two different things, even though it can be one and the same. So with me, we've had conversations about what that looked like, and some of the things that it might look like to me 10 years ago, because really I'm looking at religion more so, and it may look different to me now, versus then. So then with us having these conversations, it's like I can understand where he knows what my background is, I know what his background is, and it's different in comparison. But at the same time, how can we make those differences work for us? And then we could share that spiritual intimacy as well. To me, praying together is really, really intimate. That's really, really intimate for me. And when I say that, like, sometimes me being able to, one of the ways I feel like we bonded a lot, and that was important for me, was prayer. And it was me saying a prayer and him saying a prayer, and I can hear his prayer and he can hear my prayer, and then we're bonding that way. So that spiritual intimacy for me was important. It could have been on a different level of importance for him, but it was important for me.
And if it's important to you, I try to make it also important for me. And that level of importance it may not be so equal, but I feel that when you're in a relationship, you owe it to your partner to get into it. You know, almost like get into it, show that support to do it. Not, and you shouldn't have to be forced to do it, but you know, it should be on a level where you want to do it for them. Because it's like if say if somebody wants sex all the time, or sex on a regular basis, and you expect your partner to do that, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of work hand in hand. Like if she needs prayer, or if someone needs prayer or connection on the spiritual level or emotional level or whatever, then you ought to be there to support them as well on that. You know, just an example.
Because your physical intimacy, and it also goes back to love. This can go into love languages as well, right, if you guys know what each other's love language is. But somebody might crave a deeper physical intimacy when their partner might be craving a deeper spiritual intimacy or a deeper mental intimacy, where I need us to be able to connect and engage in conversation, right? Mental intimacy, like you're intriguing me mentally, like we're able to connect on a mental level where we can sit and engage in conversation, and things like that. So somebody may be like, okay, I need more mental intimacy from you. And this other person may feel like I need more physical intimacy from you. Right. So how do you work together to pour these things into your relationship so that it balances out to meet the needs of both you and your spouse?
Lots of communication, lots of talking, get to know each other more. All those things help.
Yeah.
And sometimes, fellas, I know that could be hard for us to do, but it's worth it in the long run. Because again, like I say, if you say you're in a relationship with the other person, this person, then you owe it to that person, because you know y'all are together. So you know, you owe it to them to do that, to at least try. And more than likely, when you try, you'll find yourself wanting to do it more.
If your heart is in it, it's gonna start coming naturally.
Yeah, if you care for that person, then you'll want to do it. You know.
And I know and I understand that some things can be difficult for certain individuals to do. Yeah. But that's when it's good to open up to your spouse and go to a counseling. Like seek an individual therapist for yourself. If you need to, couples therapist, go to couples counseling. But when you feel like it's difficult for you to pour into your relationship some of the things that your relationship needs, and you have dry areas in your relationship, but it's hard for you to pour, into those different areas, then how can you help yourself to be able to help your relationship? And it's important to keep that in mind. Sometimes that might mean I need a therapist. Yes. Sometimes,
need help.
And not only that, if you believe in God and if you believe in the power of prayer, that can be a very good thing to do as well. We're going to seek help for ourselves, individual, couples, but we're also going to pray. We also going to hear each other's heart. When you pray together, you hear each other's heart. Mm-hmm. And that is a very intimate thing to me and for, personally. So that helps to create bonding and everything too. So, what is going to help you to grow in the areas that you need to grow in? Where you have a drought, what's going to help you to fertilize that, to bring that back to life, that area in your relationship? Yeah.
To be more fruitful, yeah.
So hopefully that was helpful to you guys. We get it. We know that, sometimes it's hard to say, sometimes you might not like your spouse. Is like, I don't want to play this with him. I don't want to get that. I don't want to do that with her or whatever. But I want y'all to like each other.
Love each other.
And love each other. And sometimes, you have people that love each other, but they don't like each other. Like, they don't like each other. Like, I don't want to be home with you. You don't want to be home with me. Or we don't want to connect and play this game. Or we don't want to have these conversations because they always turn into an argument. Find out what is the problem, even if you can't find out by yourself, and find somebody who's a good fit for you to go talk to. You might try therapy.
Could be a pastor.
And I hate for people. It could be.
Could be a pastor. If you trust your pastor like that, hey, go seek their counseling. They may have some good spiritual advice for you for your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need to seek other counseling or other professional help, other counseling, then go to a therapist.
Yeah. And if you think you have some stuff that you brought into the relationship, because I don't care what anybody says, everybody comes into a relationship with some type of baggage. Mm-hmm. Nobody's coming in here perfect, unflawed, untouched, anything like that. Yeah. So you're going to come in with some type of baggage, but how you deal with your baggage and how your partner can deal with your baggage makes a world of a difference. So, yeah. And sometimes baggage is created within the relationship. You already in there. Yeah. So then how do y'all unpack this stuff? And
work on it together.
Yes.
For the better of your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yep. Because it ain't nothing perfect. I'm telling you. It's all about I feel like the success of our relationship and the way that our relationship thrives has a lot to do with how we do things. Not that we don't have issues, but how we do this, like how we deal with each other. When I look at him, I see a person that I love, and I see a child of God, and I see somebody God loves, and I see somebody that I need to treat right, So, somebody I care about, somebody I don't want to hurt, someone I don't want to be hurt. So how do you look at your partner? How do you see them? Have you really looked at them? Do you really see them and who they are? And, how you going to treat them?
Yeah. And you run the risk of wondering how somebody else treating them on the side. So something to think about.
Yeah. But and that's true, but you should be wanting to treat them right because of the love that you have for them, or that you care for them, or just because they're a human being and you're a good human being and you're a kind person and you just want to treat people right well. Yeah. You shouldn't have to be scared into thinking that someone is going to go out and do something to treat them right, because
you should already be handling it.
You should already be.
So,
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's that. Emotional intimacy, mental intimacy, spiritual intimacy, physical intimacy. And don't get me wrong, physical intimacy is real important, right? But for some people, you could have a couple out there that they don't. Physical intimacy may not be number one on their list. That's right. So and that's all good, and that's fine too. Mm-hmm. But
they're doing what works for them, because each couple is different. Each couple is unique. So every couple has their priorities on how they show intimacy for one another, how they be there for one another. So that's
and y'all got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. So if you're struggling with any type of emotional intimacy, you being there for your partner. If you've heard your partner say time and time again that they need more emotional support from you, or mental support from you, or more intimacy, because they struggle with, and if you're it's just so many relationships out there that's struggling with this, and that somebody want physical and feel like you should be physical on demand, but they don't know how to give emotionally. They don't know how to be intimate no other way, and this cannot understand why that this person does not have the the desire to give to them physically. And so you got to start somewhere. So start with a conversation and look for solutions.
Please look for solutions.
Yep. So that's just being the Joneses. So let us know in the comments, like, if you did get something out of our video today. If you have any questions, I always say you can DM me. I'm on Instagram at I am April Yolande. He's on Instagram as at Boss for Real, right?
I think so.
And so yeah, it's follow us on there and DM if you have any questions or comments.
Yeah, you can comment on this video.
Yeah, and
comment
if you
on
don't
there,
want to
so
comment on this video because you don't want nobody to see your comment, DM me.
then DM,
Yeah.
DM one of us.
Yeah.
And it's all good, And your secret is safe with us. So we
yeah,
take that serious.
absolutely. So yeah, and if you want to get a deck of our relationship cards, we have a link attached to this video. You can do that, or you can go on my website at apriljones.therapy.com/shop, and it's there. So let us know, like,
subscribe,
hit that notification bell, and it's just being the Jones.
Just being the Joneses. Y'all have a good one.
Yeah.